Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about India ink landscapes. Our objectives are demonstrate knowledge of Sumi painting artists Sesu Toyo and Shozo Sato, and then be able to describe the artistic qualities of a Sumi landscape. Our first words worth knowing is landscape. Landscape is the depiction of natural scenery such as mountains, valleys, rivers, trees, and forests, especially where the main subject is a wide view. So we've talked about portrait versus landscape orientation. So landscape would be this horizontal orientation to your composition. Artwork of oceans, seas are called seascapes. So if it's of a sea, it's called a seascape. Second word worth knowing is Sumi-e. Sumi-e means black ink and refers to a style of monochromatic painting that was originated in China and was adapted in Japan. The characteristics of Sumi-e painting are simple, elegant, they have contrast and harmony, they're grasping the essence or spirit of the subject. So they're simple and complex. They're really, really interesting to look at. They have a really bold use of the brush. They eliminate everything but the essential parts of the landscape. And there is a very high quality of line and use of value in their work. It was first developed in China during the Song Dynasty, which is 960 to 1274. And then it was taken to Japan by Zen Buddhist monks in the 1350s. So if you study Asian artwork, you will see these two different styles of ink painting in China and then Japan. Sesu Toyo is one of the most famous ink painters. He was born in 1420 and died in 1506. He's regarded as one of the greatest painters in Japanese history. He is a Zen monk. He's recognized for his Sumi-e paintings, and his subjects include landscapes, portrait, birds, and flowers. So all of these natural types of subjects. So here is an example of a winter landscape from the 1470s. And when you're looking at this, think about how can you tell it's winter and not summer. And then it has this quality to it that's called mono no aware, and it's humankind being present in nature. So if you look at this really closely, can you see the person in it? There he is. So it's this really, really small figure enveloped in this large scene of nature. So it's kind of like how we're this small part of nature. And here's another detail. So you can see there's differences in the brushwork. So there's thicker lines. There's really, really sharp ones, which you might have done with a pen. And then there's some really, really lighter value brush strokes where it looks like it's more of a dry brush stroke. So there's a very big variety of line and value in his work. And then over here would be what's called a wash. So it's just a wash of a value. Another famous painter is Shozo Sato. He was born in 1933 and he's still currently working. He's an internationally renowned Japanese master of Zen arts and a visionary director. He's professor emeritus at the University of Illinois, which means that he's a retired professor. He's a contemporary Sumi-e artist, which means he just works today. And he has lived through World War II in Japan, and he saw an art as a way to bridge between cultures. And this is an example of one of the books that he's written. Here is an image of him in his studio. So you can see in the background the variety of different brushes that he uses for his work. And you can also see some of his calligraphy in front of him. So some examples. So many of the things that he paints are natural studies of objects. You can see on the one on the left, he's added some like gold or gold leaf to it. Then the one on the right, and you can also notice they're very, very vertical. So this would be portrait orientation. Here's another one. Also adding a little bit of gold into the monochromatic landscape. Another one. So I really want you to pay attention to the value in this. Remember, value is light to dark, and then the amount of different types of brush strokes that he's using. So when you're getting in close, you can see this. There's thick brush strokes, there's thin, there's washes, there's a lot of dry on dry work. So in the background, it's getting lighter, which we'll talk about later. And then in the front, it is darker. So this creating this illusion of space. And this is very intentional. And then there's also all these little types of brushwork. So he might have used a pen or a very, very thin lined brush. Here is another one of his paintings. So this is a really nice landscape, and again, a variety of values and different types of lines and brushwork. And then what I would like you to do after you finish your notes is to critique this landscape. I have a little paper for you to critique on, and it is Untitled 2010. I have not been able to find the title, so I've just called it Untitled. And it is by Shozo Sato. So once you are done with this, please check off with me, and then you can move on to the next assignment. Good job.